What is good, y'all? Welcome back to Chris and Rob Productions. As always, I am Chris,
And Ralph.
and long time no see, guys. We are
Yep,
glad to be back. And what better way to get back than our spoiler review for?
the Thunderbolts.
Yes, sir. So this is the 36th movie by Marvel Studios,
Yep,
second movie of this year, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it out loud before we get over. So this is gonna be spoilers. We're gonna get
definitely
into the cast, plot points, who
the
dies,
the
who
post
lives,
credit scene.
the post credit scenes. Some probably one of the best post credit scenes we've ever seen for a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it real quick, Ralph. I think this is a, I'm gonna leave my score. I think this movie is absolutely amazing. Ralphie, overall thoughts before we get into the nitty gritty.
so yeah, I'm definitely enjoying the movie though, and before we dive into it, there's one thing I'm gonna say though is when I first heard it and they are be doing a Thunderbolts film, and when I saw the concept art, like of course time things has changed over time from the concept art and the
Yeah.
of course the change of director and rewrites and casting.
Yeah, and then I think like this movie went through so many changes, like what you just mentioned,
Yeah,
and I think the end result is absolutely amazing.
yeah,
It was an amazing film. My favorite MCU movie since Endgame, Guardians 3 I loved. So this one and Guardians 3.
yeah.
Since post Endgame, this one and Guardians 3 are my two favorites. Absolutely loved it. But let's go ahead and get into this.
Okay,
Okay. So the story is it follows a cast of devious anti-heroes slash criminals, mercs, operatives, black operatives, things like that. And basically, the plot of this movie is that they're set up by Valentina, played by Julia Louis Dreyfus, and they need to just basically prove that she is a corrupt politician, that she's corrupt, that she pulls strings, that she has so many, uh, you know, horrible tests that she does using government funds, and that she's a bad person. And the plot of this movie is them trying to prove that. Our main leads is Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, Julia Louis Dreyfus as Valentina, I just mentioned, Lewis Pullman as Bob, David Harbour as Alexi,
aka the Red Guardian.
the Red Guardian, Wyatt Russell as John Walker, and Hannah John Kamen as Ava Starr. This is our main cast and our Thunderbolts. Okay, Ralphie, where did you want to start off with the cast? Who were your standouts? Who the stuff that you loved?
Okay, so I'm going to go through each of them.
Okay,
So Florence Pugh, Yelena, did she dig in? Sebastian Stan, Bucky Barnes, and it's been a while since realizing the Winter Soldier like badass
as
scene.
a badass Winter Soldier, it's been a minute. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and next one Dave Harbour is the Red Guardian. The scene seemed to a very funny whenever he like shouts.
He shouts a lot in this
Yeah,
movie, and I absolutely love it.
yeah. Why was John Walker, aka U.S. agent?
Yeah.
And some of the scenes are good and like especially like doing his like introduction scene in the movie.
Oh yeah, when we first see him in this movie, it starts off with like an amazing action
Yeah,
sequence. He's really badass in this movie.
yeah. It was that though. It's been a long time since Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It's been how long has it been? 7 years since Ant Man and the Wasp.
2018. Yeah,
2018. That's the last time we saw her in a Marvel movie,
yeah.
and I thought she was wonderful. Um, so as far as let's get into the nitty gritty and spoilers. So we meet Yelena, or we find Yelena, and she's lost. She doesn't know who she is anymore. She feels a lot of guilt for the things that she's done in the past. The Red Room affected her so much, and we sort of see that she's basically lost as a person. That's how we find Yelena Belova. Bucky Barnes, he is a politician, Congressman Bucky James Buchanan Barnes, and he's not struggling with I'm still the Winter Soldier. He's past all that, especially from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
He's basically just a politician. He's trying to do good, but he has a hard time because he's so grumpy. Uh, Robert Reynolds, Bob Sentry. I'm gonna leave it at that. We're gonna get into his stuff because he was my favorite, one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Yeah.
Alexi, Red Guardian, David Harbour. He's just loud. That's his character. He's
Yeah.
amazing. He's sort of at a crossroads as well, trying to find. He's not trying to find purpose. He's finding purpose, day by day. But he still misses the glory days of being Russia's glorious hero,
Yeah. As the Red Guardian.
Red Guardian. John Walker, of course, if you've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he is still trying to deal with not necessarily the consequences, but mainly like the his image being tarnished because of what he did in Falcon and the Winter Soldier when he killed that guy in front of everybody with Captain America's shield and
Yeah.
got blood on the shield, and then it was like really bad look for Captain America. And then Ava Starr, she's still doing like Merc, Black Ops, secretive stuff because that's what she knows because that's what she grew up in. So that's our Thunderbolts. Um, let's get into what did you want to get into next?
So yeah, yeah, like in this sequence though, like the cinematography, like in like the action sequence are, and even like some sequence in the IMAX stuff is really good.
Yeah, dude. So I think genuinely the cinematography, the choreography, fight scenes,
Yeah,
the imagery, especially the imagery out of all the things I just listed is genuinely some of the best stuff that we've ever seen in the MCU, in my opinion. Do you agree with that too? Yeah.
like of course like like moments here and there, like the skydiving scene, like the
Yes, amazing with Yelena. That's the first thing we see in the movie when she
yeah
skydives. Yeah.
yeah, and of course of the fight scene with this with Century.
Yes, well, which we'll get into a little later,
Yeah,
but yes, yes, I can't wait to talk about
yeah,
that.
me too.
So all these characters find each other because they're tasked by Valentina separately to go into this bunker and kill each other. They don't know that they're all in it
Like
unknowingly. They're
on
all
setup.
they're it's a setup. Thank you, Ralph. It's a setup. And while they're in there, they accidentally open up Bob, Lewis Pullman's character. And Lewis Pullman's character, I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it, Ralph. Off the bat, you could tell that he is, Lewis Pullman's portraying this character as someone who insecure, but I don't even know, that's not even like the perfect word because it's deeper than that. He has a lot of emotional and mental distress that he deals with on a daily basis. And when we get further into his backstory, we see why he is the way he is. A lot of it is just his upbringing, and a good part of it is just stuff that he inherited from his family. And I think Bob was just such a good character. All right, let's get back into the plot. So Valentina sets them up to kill them, and we get this dope ass fight scene in the bunker,
Yeah.
and then they have to escape the bunker, which is where we first see Lewis Pullman, Bob use his powers as Sentry. First time he doesn't even know he has powers. Where he is Superman. All right, so what did you think of like that whole bunker scene and the fights and all that? And then we'll get into Taskmaster. We'll get into we'll get into that.
Yeah, so the of course doing the introduction to like John Walker and the Ghost, and the action sequence is again pretty good.
Yeah.
Like the way that it was shot stuff, like with whole cinematography.
Yes, dude. The camera angles that they used and the
Yeah,
dolly when they moved it, it was so seamless, so good.
yeah, and I'm very glad that we get something like that instead of like okay cut to this, okay cut back to this, or cut like simple cuts.
They do a lot. Sometimes, not just Marvel, but a lot of action movies just overcut, and
Yeah,
you know why they do cuts is because they don't have good choreography.
yeah,
So they overcut to make the action sequence look more action packed, but in reality, they just didn't do a good job in doing the stunts.
yeah,
In this movie, they didn't have that problem. They allowed their shots to like stay there. They allowed the camera to be on these actors and these stuntmen.
yeah.
And I thought that was incredible. Yeah,
And anything you want to say before we get to Taskmaster?
you go started. You started.
So, as you know, though, in the trailers and like back then when they first dropped the trailer, okay, they market Taskmaster, but then later on though, Taskmaster is not in the marketing anymore.
at all.
Yeah, at all. And then speculating that Taskmaster got killed off in the movie, and after probably like 2 or 3 minutes of the 2 or 3 minutes end of the screen time, she got killed off immediately.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah,
Pretty bad. Ghost kills her,
yeah,
and it was she. You know what's crazy?
yeah,
The actress that plays her, what's her name? Olga Kirilenko plays Antonia Dreykov, who is this MCU's version of Taskmaster.
yeah,
Olga was in Black Widow. Black Widow, a movie I actually really enjoy. You enjoy it too, right?
yeah,
There's just issues with the villains, but this video is not about Black Widow, the movie. But Taskmaster, she had no lines in that movie, and in this one, she has one line,
yeah,
and she says, and I quote, "I'm not here for you." When she sees Yelena, and Yelena's like, "What are you doing here?" And then Ghost shoots her point blank in the face, and that's the end of Taskmaster in the MCU. And they did not shy away from the mark. The marketing did not shy away from it. Whenever they did their Doomsday casting announcement a few weeks back, she wasn't even involved in that. So the writing was on the wall that Taskmaster wasn't gonna make it, and it
yeah,
was a running joke amongst people on social media that she was not gonna make it. I guess the only question was where was she gonna get killed off, and she got killed off pretty early.
yeah,
So that was it was even a shock. It was more so a shock that it happened that early, but it wasn't a shock that she died because we were all like, yeah, we figured. Um, all right, let's go ahead and get into once they escape the bunker. Now, Ghost, Yelena, John Walker, and Alexei are just trying to get away from Valentina because now Valentina has access to Sentry. The whole time, forgot to mention, Valentina created Sentry because she was doing testing on human subjects to see about creating the next super soldier, essentially. And she, it worked on Bob unknowingly. She didn't know that it worked on him until after he came out of the bunker. Um, and the side story, it's not the side story, but the half of the other story is Bucky.
yeah,
Bucky is working with Wendell Pierce's character, Congressman Gary. Congressman Gary is working every fiber in his body to get Valentina impeached because he knows that she's corrupt. He just needs to prove it. And he works with Bucky Barnes to do that. In order for him to actually have proof that Valentina is corrupt, he needs to go get the evidence. And the evidence is Ghost, John Walker, and Yelena. So we get our next big action sequence, and that is the chase that we saw in all the trailers.
yeah.
What did you think of that, Rafi? Because I thought that was amazing.
Oh yeah, that sequence though was badass on screen,
Yeah,
and especially like of course we were like they try to figure what to do, and of course when it goes in, oh the windows are bulletproof, and obviously they're not bulletproof.
they're not. You saw in the trailer.
Yeah,
They're bulletproofish. Huh?
yeah, and as in they would try to figure out what to do, and until we see Bucky shows up.
Bucky showed up
Yeah,
and he cleared out the soldiers and he captured them.
yeah,
All right, so we'll take a pause right there in terms of action sequences. Uh, I guess I'll start it off on how each character and how they find themselves. You know, like I mentioned earlier about Yelena. Yelena, she's the main character of this movie. We've read rumors and reports by a lot of the Hollywood news outlets that one of the rewrites was because the movie was written as a Black Widow sequel, essentially. And it went through a rewrite. They changed it, and you could tell because she's the main character. And Florence Pugh absolutely crushed it. A lot of this movie, like I had mentioned earlier, I don't know. It's about mental illness and people's how they feel self worth, and at times people feel lost. And the month of May, if you're not aware, is mental health awareness month, which is something I take very seriously, and I'm a very much advocate for it, especially for friends and family, whoever needs help. And I think uh, the writers they were going for a movie that is different. It's not like any other Marvel movie.
yeah,
You know what I mean? This isn't your end game where it's just punch, 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 snap your finger, boom, explosions.
Yeah. Or
It's
all Love and Thunder when it comes to a lot of jokes or
I
anything.
enjoy Love and Thunder, but I get why people don't.
Yeah.
I I understand why Chris Hemsworth does not really he's not really a fan of the movie, but that's a side note. I understand that. But this movie is just basically it's therapeutic. That's the word I've been looking for. It's very therapeutic because you have characters like Bob who, like I mentioned, has all these mental disorders and addictions that he's dealt with in his past, and he's just trying to find. He's not even trying to find. He's just trying to find self worth within himself because he feels like he's nothing, and he deals with something called the void, which is ends up being the main plot point of the second half of this movie. Well, throughout the movie, but especially the second half. And I think what I'm so glad Kevin Feige allowed this movie to flourish, and I'm glad that they made the rewrites that they did because I think this was the perfect movie that they were able to make, and it was absolutely wonderful. Anything you want to add to that, Ruffy?
And nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get further into the plot. So now, Bucky Barnes, Yelena Belova, Red Guardian, Ghost, John Walker, our Thunderbolts. I need to go to New York to get in front of Congress, to get in front of the court, to get in, go to court, and basically prove that Valentina is corrupt, so she can get impeached. But they're in for a rude awakening because Valentina, like I mentioned, has access to Sentry. She changes Bob's look to where he could be the perfect superhero. We get our first reveal ever
Yeah.
of the suits. What did you think of the suit and marketing on how they did that?
So first of with the marketing, I was surprised they did not like reveal the suit at all, either in the posters or trailers. Well, yes, they did got some toy leaks
Yeah, the toy leak, the Marvel Legends,
and the Funko Pop.
and the Funko Pops. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but still, but still, like again, the first time they ever done it, like never revealed the suit.
anything. They didn't
Yeah,
reveal Jack. I thought that was wonderful.
yeah, and I'm really surprised that, and also the suit though looks really good.
It looks amazing.
Yeah,
The Marvel Legends doesn't really do it justice, of course, because that's a figure. It's a plastic figure as compared to a live action suit.
yeah,
But the Marvel's Legends is a lot darker yellow.
yeah,
In the movie, I'm not saying comic book bright X-Men yellow, no. It's a little more toned down to a degree, but it's vibrant. It pops on screen.
yeah,
It looks so good, the suit. And yes, it's the classic MCU suit where it has a bunch of textures and lines on the creases and stuff like that. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of it. I love MCU suits. There are times that they do overdo it. Like
yeah,
I think Quantumania overdid it
yeah.
with Ant-Man's suit.
Yeah.
Um, what other suits have they overdone it with?
Let's see.
Some of Black Widow's suits, like her suit in Age of Ultron. I think there was a lot of lines on that
Yeah.
one that was like not needed.
Oh yeah, Reed Richards pursuit from Doctor Strange.
Reed Richards' suit is the ultimate MCU-fication of a suit.
Yeah.
But they changed that for first steps, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later. A little teaser there at the end. Um, but yeah, let's get back into this plot real quick. So now they go to New York, and it's not Avengers Tower anymore. It's
Is
the Watchtower.
the
Okay,
Watchtower.
Watchtower. We finally, in 8 years
Since Spider-Man Homecoming.
since Spider-Man: Homecoming, it has been who sold it. I mean, who
Yeah.
sold it? Who bought it? Because we know Tony sold it.
Yeah. And for a while though, like I remember I had something like since you mentioned the Spider-Man Homecoming, people were speculating that it might be Oscar or something. Like
Yeah, that was a
yeah,
good speculation. Yeah,
yeah. For years though, I don't know who bought it until as of right now we know who bought it.
Valentina.
Yeah.
And she's turning it into the Watchtower. The Watchtower is in the comics with Sentry and everything. Really good. Um, so the Thunderbolts go confront Valentina, but she has her own hero, Sentry, and we get into our next big fight scene. I'm gonna set it up a little bit. So throughout the movie, Yelena and Bob sort of have like this connection. It's at times hints in a slither of like romantic, but I think it's mainly just two people who are lost and they both need each other to help each other. I think that's that's the main premise of their relationship throughout this movie. And the Thunderbolts see that Bob is turning into Sentry. Not only has he physically transformed into Sentry, he's mentally changing into Sentry. Where he's like, I'm listening to Valentina. Y'all can't stop me. I'm a god, you know?
Yeah,
And let's get into that fight scene in the Watchtower. It's not Avengers Tower, in the Watchtower.
yeah. So exactly what I said earlier. In the action sequence, they like move the camera from like instead of the usual like cut to this, cut to back, cut to this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like basically like something like that we got from Daredevil Born Again when
Yeah.
uh,
Like the hallway scenes and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And this sequence though, like we see like each member of the Thunderbolts will try to like get Sentry, but he basically beat the S out of
He
them.
really did. He
Yeah,
really did. He used the way that they portrayed his powers was so beautiful. It's so good. He stopped bullets with his
yeah,
with his telekinesis.
yeah,
He
yeah. So like Neo Matrix thing.
Neo Matrix type thing.
Yeah,
The way he fights, Bucky, where Bucky's going. Did you see the knife? The Bucky knife?
yeah,
He did the Winter Soldier Bucky knife where he drops it and then catches it and then it hits him, but like it's Sentry, so it's not gonna do anything. Um, and he just basically ate their lunch and they couldn't do anything about it.
yeah.
He didn't kill them because he didn't want to kill them. And that's something that we learned is that he doesn't want to kill them, but he still has the void inside of him. The void, which was heightened with the the super soldier stuff or like the testing that Valentina did on him. Uh, so now let's get into the void. The void is essentially it's it's a play on if you've ever had this disorder, if you're familiar with this disorder, or if you ever have this, or you have any like characters any I'm losing my words. It's basically it's a deep depression that he feels, and he just thinks that nothing matters. Not Bob, but like the disorder that he has, and it starts to consume New York City, and it's so frightening.
Yeah.
Where people are like just like every time he hits them with the void, they just turn into a shadow instantly, and it's so fucking scary. Oop, I didn't mean to cuss. Um, but let's go ahead and get into our ending. So now the Thunderbolts need to try to stop Sentry, but how do you stop Superman? If you don't have kryptonite. How do you stop Superman if you don't have kryptonite?
Oh,
You talk to Superman.
yeah,
You talk
yeah.
to
You have to talk to him. Say like, why do you say that name?
Save Martha.
Why do you say that name?
Why did you say that name?
Yeah, just like that though.
Basically, but it's a lot better than that. The Thunderbolts go into the void, and the void is essentially people relive their worst nightmares that they've experienced in their lives. For Yelena, it was whenever she helped kill another young girl when she was a girl herself for the Red Room. For John Walker, it's him and his marriage falling apart, and he's not really being a great dad to his baby. For Bob, it's seeing his dad beat on his mom and the trauma that was put into him by his father and stuff. And the void, the ending where they go into the void, the Thunderbolts, and they go into different rooms, and each room is a different part of Bob's trauma, and they just basically help Bob try to overcome his trauma to whatever degree he can, and get him out of the void. Um, and then we get to our climax of the movie, where it's Bob versus the void,
Yeah.
and he needs to face his own demon. And I cried multiple times. This part really made me cry because the void is telling Bob like you're nothing. I don't even know why you thought you could be somebody. You're useless. You're worthless. And Bob's like trying to tell him I'm not. And then Bob starts beating up the void, and that's what the void wants. He wants Bob to be consumed by the negativity that's within him. And this amazing power of friendship, they essentially hug Bob, the
Yeah.
Thunderbolts, and they help him get out of the void, and they save everybody in New York City. What did you think of that climax? We got a few more minutes. What do you think of
Yeah.
that
So,
climax?
yeah, the climax though, it is really good and really good and interesting. It's like a different climax than the usual like of course high pack action. In Sentinels, loads of like high pack action like climax. Though this is like interesting climax that they did for this one.
Exactly. It's very story driven. It's emotional
Yeah,
driven. They don't save the day with the punch. They save the day with the hug.
yeah.
They quite literally, and I'm not joking. They hug each other and they tell Bob that you are worth something, and Bob's able to get out of the void. Um, and we'll go ahead and get into the ending, and we'll get into our post credit scenes.
Okay.
The ending. They're pissed at Valentina because of what Valentina did, so now they're gonna go get her and go arrest her. They go and chase after her, and then she dupes them, and they're in front of the media. She sets up a post conference. She sets up a news conference, and basically she planned out the whole thing. That the Thunderbolts were her idea, and it was a test, not a test, but like she brought them together to save the day, and that they are now officially the.
The new Avengers.
That's what the asterisk is for. They are the new Avengers. Credits hit. A mid credit scene. Alexi is at the grocery
Yeah,
store and he's getting a Wheaties box. Not the Wheaties box that you've seen of the Thunderbolts. It's them, but it's the new Avengers version
yeah.
where John Walker has a hat. Bucky has his hair kind of fluffed out. Kind of looks like he has like a very nice 70s comb. Uh, Ghost has longer hair. Yelena, she has her hair still blonde. Well, she's always been blonde. But you know. And that's the mid credit scene. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, yeah. That part was funny though when they really he tried to convince someone to buy the cereal.
Yeah. He's like, I'm right here. I'm on the cereal box.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Okay, so now it cuts to the second post credit scene.
The second post credit scene. So we see the Avengers, the new Avengers.
Yep.
They're in the new Avengers Tower. We see John Walker with his new hat. We see Ghost with her beautiful long new hair. We see Yelena. Nothing really changed with Yelena, if I'm not mistaken. We see the one that had the most change was James Buchanan Barnes, who got his new hair flowing. He has a nice new. Well, he's had facial hair, but like it's look more full. He has like a red star right here. He has the Avengers patch right here. The Avengers logo looks pretty dope.
Yeah.
It looks so dope. Um, and they're just basically the new Avengers, and they're just basically talking about why the hell Sam Wilson is copyrighting the word Avengers whenever they've been Avengers for the last and year and 2 months. And it's a funny scene. It's
Yeah.
really dope actually. I say actually like I was saying it wasn't. It's amazing. They're basically calling Sam Wilson an asshole because Sam is copyrighting Avengers and
Yeah.
they're pissed off.
Yeah. And Mike Conley is suggesting replace the Avengers with the Z instead of the S.
Now with the Avengers and John Walker's still John Walker. He's like I don't remember. He was just being like an idiot.
Yeah.
And but this whole time, Yelena is as they're talking about what are they going to do about naming themselves the Avengers or whatever. There's a spaceship coming in from outer space, and Yelena's trying to figure out what the hell this is. They get live footage of a satellite of a spaceship coming or of landing into space, and who's in that spaceship?
A
Fantastic
Fantastic
Four.
Four! Fantastic Four!
Close enough. Hopefully, we don't get copyrighted because we sounded just like the movie or the music.
Yeah, but anyway, though, like at the moment when they showed the full logo, I was like, "Oh my god!" Because so, so it was ever since they announced basically like the whole Thunderbolt cast for Doomsday.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, we might get a post credit scene like teasing about it, like most likely an urgent call from like Sam Wilson or something.
Yeah.
But I was not expecting to get a Fantastic Four tease. It.
I wasn't either. I wasn't expecting to see their ship
Yeah,
when they showed the ship and then they turned it to show the four to basically it's Fantastic Four and they played the music and stuff.
yeah,
But when I saw the ship, I knew immediately because I seen that ship in all the trailers.
yeah. My same as well.
You knew right
Yeah,
immediately, yeah. Um, so it kind of it. not kinda, it confirms the idea that I and a lot of people have, and you do as well,
Yeah,
that after First Steps, they're gonna come to our MCU
yeah,
616,
yeah, and most likely Galactus might have
destroyed
destroyed.
their
Yeah,
world. Yeah. We will see what happens at the end of that movie. We do know they're coming here to Earth.
yeah, because they already confirmed it for Doomsday.
They confirmed it for Doomsday, and then and Doomsday in itself is multiverse. So
Yeah,
Doomsday can take place in a different in a different multi or universe, whatever. But to see that the Fantastic Four is going to be on our Earth, uh, kind of confirms that question. No, you know what? It confirms that they're coming to our Earth, but
yeah,
it doesn't confirm that their world is
it's destroyed and
destroyed.
everything.
It can be for different reasons. Oh, it's multiverse reasons, but we'll
Yeah,
see what the main reason is at the end of the Fantastic Four. But Fantastic Four comes out July. We're beyond hype for that.
yeah,
Sucks. We couldn't do a trailer reaction the other day because I was very under the weather and I couldn't record.
yeah,
But back to Thunderbolts. Genuinely, this movie's a 10 out of 10.
definitely a 10.
It's a 10 out of 10. I
Yeah,
think it's a perfect MCU. It's a perfect movie. The emotion, the heart, the anger, the sadness, the grief, the guilt, the happiness, everything is included in this movie. And the performances by Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, David Harbour, Wyatt Russell, Hannah Jane, John Kamen, and especially Lewis Pullman and Julia Louis Drive. I think they all just did an amazing job. I even forgot to mention Gwendolyn. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. Mel. Forgot to mention her. Valentina's right hand woman. I thought she was great as well. We'll see what her character has good in her. Her intentions at times isn't so good. We'll see it when we see her next time in the
yeah,
MCU. But any final thoughts that you have, Ralphie?
yeah. So a quick sign up though. So whenever me and Chris left the theater,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh! So a lot of this movie is dark
yeah,
because of the void and just in general. The color grading is beautiful. I'm talking about it. A lot of it takes place at night,
yeah,
and then the void happens. So it was dark in our theater and stuff. We stepped out, I thought someone threw a flashbang at my feet. That sun, oh my
yeah.
gosh!
And we did attempt to try to do an out of theater reaction, and
Which we recorded,
yeah,
but we re-recorded in the car where there was a little bit more
yeah,
shade.
because we had to take a look at the footage though, and you kind of like see my face.
Yeah, the wind
Yeah,
was blowing, his eyes were closed. It was just a mess. But we have our out of theater reaction. It's a quick
yeah,
YouTube short, and hopefully you enjoyed our full spoiler review. This movie, it high anticipation, it delivered, and then some. And what the next handful of movies, well, there's only one more movie until Doomsday.
yeah,
But I guess what I'm trying to say is they're building up Doomsday more and more, and it feels so good to have these connected, these tissues connect
yeah.
from movie to movie and stuff like that. They're doing a wonderful job. Doing a wonderful job. So go watch Thunderbolts. Go read Thunderbolts. This is a run that they did a few years ago. So good. Look at that. So good. So guys, go watch it. 10 out of 10. Anything else, Ralph?
Definitely a 10.
10. All right, guys. So please like, share, and
And
subscribe.
subscribe.
As always, guys, I'm Chris.
And wow,
Catch you next time.
peace.
Peace.